He is known for being a Russian lawyer, revolutionary, politician, and political theorist. He is recognized for serving as the first head of government of Soviet Russia and later the Soviet Union. His name is Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir Lenin, born Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, was a Russian revolutionary and political theorist who left an indelible mark on the course of history. From his birth in Simbirsk to his role as the founding head of government of the Soviet Union, Lenin's life was marked by a relentless pursuit of Marxist ideology and the establishment of a socialist state. From an early age, Lenin showed a keen interest in revolutionary socialist politics, following the execution of his brother in 1887. His passion for challenging the oppressive Tsarist regime led to his expulsion from Kazan Imperial University and subsequent years spent studying law. In St. Petersburg, he emerged as a senior Marxist activist, eventually facing exile in Siberia after a sedition charge. It was during this period that he married Nadezhda Krupskaya, who would become his lifelong partner. Even in exile, Lenin's influence and dedication to the cause of revolution persisted. He moved to Western Europe, where he became a prominent theorist within the Marxist Russian Social Democratic Labour Party. A pivotal moment came in 1903 when he led the Bolshevik faction in a split from Julius Martov's Mensheviks, a division that had far-reaching consequences. Lenin's vision of a proletarian revolution began to take shape, and he saw the opportunity for change during the chaos of the First World War. He returned to Russia after the February Revolution and played a leading role in the October Revolution, which culminated in the overthrow of the provisional government. Under Lenin's Bolshevik government, power was gradually centralized, and a campaign of suppression, known as the Red Terror, was implemented to eliminate opposition. The regime also pushed for economic redistribution, nationalizing key industries and redistributing land. Lenin's leadership during the Russian Civil War and the promotion of international communism through the Communist International further solidified his position as a revolutionary icon. However, Lenin's health began to deteriorate, and he passed away in Gorky in 1924. Joseph Stalin succeeded him as the figurehead of the Soviet government, but Lenin's influence and legacy continued to resonate throughout the Soviet Union. His advocacy for socialist policies such as universal literacy, healthcare, and women's rights cemented his reputation as a champion of the working class. While Lenin is viewed by many as a revolutionary hero who pushed for equality and social change, his critics point to the authoritarian nature of his regime, blaming him for mass killings and political repression. Regardless of one's perspective, there is no denying the enduring impact of Vladimir Lenin on the course of history. His life may indeed have recurred in an identical fashion, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Vladimir Lenin, known as Volodya in his childhood, was born on April 22, 1870, in Simbirsk, now Ulyanovsk. Coming from a diverse family background, with Russian, German, Swedish, Jewish, and Kalmyk ancestry, Lenin's early life was shaped by the influences of his parents and siblings. His father, Ilya Nikolaevich Ulyanov, had risen from a lower-class background to become a respected educator, while his mother, Maria Alexandrovna Blank, came from a wealthy and educated family. Growing up in a household of monarchists and liberal conservatives, Lenin's parents were committed to the Emancipation Reform of 1861. They emphasized the importance of education and provided a stable and nurturing environment for their children. Lenin, the third of 8 siblings, was close to his sister Olga and showed a competitive nature and an aptitude for sports and academics. He excelled at the Simbirsk Classical Gymnasium, known for its strict discipline and conservative values. Tragedy struck when Lenin was 15 years old. His father passed away suddenly, leading to significant changes in his behavior and beliefs. Grief-stricken, Lenin renounced his belief in God and became confrontational and erratic. Meanwhile, his elder brother Alexander, whom he affectionately called Sasha, was studying in St. Petersburg and engaging in political activism against the oppressive Tsarist regime. Alexander's involvement in an anti-government conspiracy led to his execution. Despite the emotional turmoil caused by the loss of his father and brother, Lenin continued his studies and graduated from school with exceptional performance. He made the decision to pursue a law degree at Kazan University. "My life will recur in exactly identical fashion," Vladimir Lenin, the protagonist of our story, once declared. As a young student entering Kazan University in 1887, Lenin immerses himself in the lively intellectual landscape of the time. Joining a university society, he soon becomes an active participant in protests against government restrictions on student societies. It is in this atmosphere of dissent and rebellion that Lenin's political radicalization begins to take root. However, his activism comes with consequences. After being arrested and accused of being a ringleader in a demonstration, Lenin is expelled from the university and exiled to his family's estate. It is during this period of isolation and reflection that he stumbles upon Nikolai Chernyshevsky's revolutionary novel, What Is to Be Done. The book captures his imagination, igniting his passion for social change and paving the way for his future engagement with Marxist ideology. Despite his mother's concerns about his radicalization, Lenin's thirst for knowledge remains unquenchable. Upon his return to Kazan, albeit not as a university student, he joins a revolutionary circle led by Nikolai Fedoseev. It is within this group that he discovers Karl Marx's seminal work, Capital. The ideas presented in Marx's book resonate deeply with Lenin, who becomes fully committed to Marxism as a socio-political theory that emphasizes class struggle and the transition from capitalism to socialism. Lenin's intellectual journey continues as he translates Marx and Friedrich Engels's The Communist Manifesto into Russian. This act solidifies his allegiance to Marxist thought and sets him on a collision course with the prevailing agrarian socialist Narodnik movement in Russia. While influenced by the Narodniks, Lenin rejects their belief that the peasantry alone can establish socialism, instead aligning himself with Georgy Plekhanov's argument that the urban working class holds the key to societal transformation. In 1890, Lenin's academic prowess and his sister Maria's societal influence afford him the opportunity to take his exams externally at the University of St. Petersburg. He excels in his studies, earning the equivalent of a first-class degree, but tragedy strikes when his sister Olga succumbs to typhoid. Grief-stricken, Lenin continues his radical political activities while working as a legal assistant and immersing himself in the Marxist perspective on Russian society. Vladimir Lenin, a key figure in socialist revolution, found his revolutionary fervor while working as a senior member of a Marxist revolutionary cell in St. Petersburg. This cell, known as the Social Democrats, aimed to overthrow the oppressive czarist regime, the aristocracy, and the bourgeoisie in order to establish a proletariat state that would move towards socialism. Lenin, with his Marxist perspective, believed that the Russian proletariat would develop class consciousness, leading them to violently overthrow the existing order. As Lenin passionately advocated for Marxism within the socialist movement, he also formed a romantic relationship with Nadezhda Krupskaya, a Marxist schoolteacher. Together, they worked to distribute revolutionary literature, including Lenin's political tract, What the Friends of the People Are and How They Fight the Social Democrats. In this tract, Lenin criticized the Narodnik agrarian socialists, drawing from his experiences in Samara. Lenin's revolutionary activities extended beyond Russia's borders, as he sought to establish connections between his Social Democrats and the Emancipation of Labor Group, a collective of Russian Marxist émigrés based in Switzerland. During his travels to Switzerland, Paris, and Berlin, Lenin studied the Paris Commune of 1871, seeing it as an early prototype for a proletarian government. He returned to Russia with revolutionary publications and distributed them among striking workers. However, Lenin's revolutionary efforts were met with resistance. In St. Petersburg, he was arrested along with 40 other activists and charged with sedition. Despite being denied legal representation or bail, he spent the year in prison theorizing and writing. It was during this time that he emphasized the importance of the Russian proletariat and its potential to violently overthrow the existing order. In February 1897, Lenin was sentenced without trial to 3 years' exile in eastern Siberia. While in exile, he continued to correspond with fellow revolutionaries, and his wife Nadia eventually joined him. They settled in Shushenskoye, where they translated English socialist literature into Russian. Despite the challenges of exile, Lenin remained devoted to the ideal of violent revolution, opposing peaceful, electoral paths advocated by revisionist thinkers like Eduard Bernstein.
Do you want to explore more philosophers? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.